Welcome to the Select Podcast Guest Teen Podcasters Roundtable. I'm Lenore, the host of the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast, and welcome to Obviously Facebook. And I'm your moderator for today's roundtable, which is sponsored by Brand Ambassador Select. So today we are joined by three teen podcasters who are making their mark in the podcasting world of media. Marley Comito from Spill the Soup. Hey, girl.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
We have Owen Shapiro from Kino Society. Hey, Owen.
Hi.
And Eli Tokash from Take a Bow is not on the line right now. We heard he is currently on set, so I'm hoping that he gets a chance to stop in and join our conversation today. And honestly, let us know what set he's on, because I'm very intrigued to see what he's filming or producing while we're on Facebook Live. So I started out my first podcast 11 years ago. I was 16 and I got an internship at an internet radio station called Goom Radio. And my boss at the time got his start podcasting out of his bedroom. So when my summer internship was over, you know what? I decided to start my own. It's called was called Teen Groove on the Move, which was an entertainment podcast where I got the chance to speak to a ton of different TV and film actors, singers, bands, athletes, and other entrepreneurs. And the truth is that really opened up the door for many other opportunities. So here I am in 2021, radio personality, the host of the Brand Ambassador Select podcast, obviously chatting with you today on Facebook Live and hosting a lot of in-person events across the country. So our panel today is here to help show us what it's like to be a teen podcaster this year in 2021. So let's start with Marley. Marley, hello. Let us know how you got started with Spill the Soup podcast and what inspired you to do this at such a young age.
Okay, well, it's a bit of a backstory, so I'll kind of just go right into a little bit about me. Something that is important about me is that I'm Jewish, and I say that just because my podcast is called A Jewish Teen Podcast, because I'd always been interested, like growing up, in working in the entertainment industry, in the media. I didn't quite know what yet. I knew about podcasting, but never too much. So I'd explored other forms of media like blogging or vlogging or creative writing and just a little bit of everything, but I'd never experienced podcasting. So a local organization, I'd been doing some blogs just kind of about my life, insight into like what social media does or how I've gone on trips to Israel and experiences that I've had. But a different organization here locally called Twin Cities Jew Folk, it's an interesting name, but they kind of just do like media around, I'm from Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, which are Minneapolis and St. Paul. And so they reached out to me to ask if I would like to be like a content producer or just keep writing blog posts for them too. But I was saying, I already write blog posts, and I saw that they had podcasts. And I said, what are your thoughts on me hosting a podcast? Because I came up with this idea when I was younger that, I don't know, something about me, I'm the oldest, and I really like talking to parents. I consider myself mature, not to pat myself on the back, but like I really connect with adults, whether it's my friends' parents or my siblings' friends' parents or family friends. I feel like I can hold conversations really well with adults. But something unique is that I'm a teenager and they're not. So they kind of like to gain perspective on like insight into their kids' lives. So I thought that idea of making like a teen podcast for adults where I would host and invite other teenage friends of mine on to talk about things like mental health or social media, things that are so like predominant in today's teenage world that wasn't necessarily when my parents were teenagers or a lot of other young adult. I don't know, everything is so different now. So I pitched that idea to this organization and they loved it. And the rest is history. I've been experiencing, we've been doing like an episode every other week. So it's been really quick to come up with guests that make a good dynamic, that are good friends of mine, but also that I think would be good on something like a podcast episode, topics, questions, all of that. But that's just a little bit of background information about mine.
I saw you're on episode 7 or 8 because the mental health was the last one, right?
Yes, that was episode 7. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I'm on track over here.
Yes, totally.
Now, how about you, Owen? How did you start Kino Society?
So, I decided that, I've always loved film for a long time now, and I'm looking into getting a career in film. So I thought to myself, maybe I should look a bit more into different careers in film. And here I am now. I'm doing a podcast because I thought this would be a good way for other people also as well to get more information about the film industry.
What have you actually learned by interviewing other people in that industry? Because I know that you were using it to help, build a resume for college and really pursue that career.
Yes, I'm mostly learned a bit more about different roles, how different roles interact with each other in the industry, kind of the amount of creativity versus the amount of just technicality or talent that each job requires, most of that stuff.
Now, I have to say, when I was around your age, two of you, because my boy Eli is not here yet. I really do hope he gets a chance to pop in. Sometimes friends didn't support you and sometimes friends didn't. And sometimes family didn't understand what you were doing and sometimes they didn't. How has your experience been with the support from your friends and family at home? Anybody go?
I can go first.
Okay, shoot.
Yes. Well, I'll be honest. I was really nervous just because, I don't know, it's such a time where like you care so much about what other people think of you. And like every move you make, you think all eyes are on you at all times, even though they're not, but it's still like in your head. So I remember when I was coming up with this idea, it sounded so amazing to me, but I was nervous that people would judge me or say like, she's trying to act like she's so big time or so cool when like I'm not. Like I don't have a following. I'm not verified on anything. I'm just a kid. And so I thought people would say like, oh, podcasts are for celebrities or influencers, and I'm none of those things, so I should stop acting like that. Even though like you have to start somewhere. But so yeah, I remember being super nervous. Like that first post I made, I was like, you should go listen to my podcast. It's called this. Like, please don't make fun of me. Like, I was so nervous. And I still sometimes am, like, to post about it or, like, give myself some self-promo because I'm worried about what people are judging me or, like, thinking, like, what is she doing? Like, she's not all that. So, but I was actually so surprised because after my podcast went live and it was published and people started listening, like, the support I got from like my friends, my old camp counselors, like so many people in and outside of my community have been like so supportive. They say like, that is so cool. Like, or I've always wanted to start a podcast. Like, what equipment do you use? Like, how did you get started on all of this? Like, what tips do you have? And so, and when people are invited on to be my guests, they are like so beyond thrilled and they want to post it everywhere and flex it to everybody. And so I don't know, it totally like shifted everything that I thought I was so nervous about being judged, but it was the total opposite and people have been really supportive. So I'm very thankful.
You know, I can totally see that. It's just like, how many times am I going to continue to promote myself? Or they think that I'm overusing my personal account to just tell people to watch my podcast? Do they want more of my life? Like, what do the people want? It's not sure.
Totally.
Owen, how about yourself?
Well, my friends and family, just every once in a while, they tell me that my podcast is interesting or entertaining. That's kind of the end of it. My mother's always extremely supportive, but that's about it.
You guys each try to find different sort of guests. Has there been any obstacles with trying to book some people? Like, Owen, I may know it may be a little bit more difficult for you than Marley because you're looking basically into film and entertainment, and maybe they're constantly on set and, you know, the times don't match up. How does that work out for the both of you?
I mean, I can go, I guess. I'm usually very flexible with my time since I'm not really doing that much other than the podcast. So I don't usually run into very much difficulty with time.
Nice.
But sometimes people just don't join. Sometimes I have an issue and I'm unable to be there. So, yeah.
And Marley, how's it like booking guests for you?
Well, I've had the option to invite like experts on, like, for example, you just mentioned the mental health episode I recently did. And the producer of my podcast asked me if I wanted to invite like a psychiatrist or a therapist on that's an adult. And I actually said no, because I thought something that makes my podcast unique and different than like every other podcast, I feel like you could be like interviewing adults or interviewing experts, which is amazing. But something that I valued was it being like strictly teens, just like insight into like a pure teenage conversation. And so I figured which like the difficulty with this comes with how when I find a topic, I have to think about which friends of mine or which guests I think would be the most interesting to speak on the topic, but also have a good dynamic together. I like to typically have two guests, so it's like three people having a conversation to get different opinions and make sure that they're comfortable speaking to each other and being honest and vulnerable But that has come with a lot of complications sometimes when one person speaks the whole time or another doesn't, or somebody gets too shy to really open up and share about something and be vulnerable. So it's gone well so far, but there have been times where I've had to like think about having this person versus this one, or multiple genders, or having just 2 girls or 2 guys, or a mix, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I know sometimes my friends are just like, let's start a podcast, let's do this, let's do that. And then you get to it and they're like, well, I actually have no idea what to talk about. Like, what are we going to do? It's like, I don't know. It was your idea. So I'm following you type of thing.
Totally.
And sometimes not everybody is, and we're on like Facebook Live now, over Zooms, things like that, which a lot of podcasts have been doing over the last year and a half. And now so many people, maybe even including yourselves, are breaking out of your comfort zone, because now sometimes you're visual versus only just being behind the microphone and looking at your computer or looking around trying to get your thoughts out. But now you kind of have an audience right in front of you. It's such a new world.
I know, brave new world.
Now, you guys have a bunch of different equipment I see in front of you. You both have 2 different types of mics. I have a completely separate mic than you guys. What equipment have you been using that has helped your podcast be so successful?
Right now, I am using I don't know what it's called.
I think it's a blue, right?
Blue. Yeah, the blue microphone. My mother gifted it to me because she's a radio show host. And so she is very familiar with the world of microphones and what sounds great. So I use that, and I use my little MacBook Air. And we have used a program called Zencastr to record each of my episodes. It's basically just like this, or like Zoom, but it records like multiple audio tracks at the same time. And so I haven't experienced like an in-person interview yet, but hopefully as the world opens up and as we all get vaccinated and things start to get more normal again, that can happen in the future.
Thanks for that tip. Zencastr, you said. Now I got a new website and program to look up.
I recommend.
I do love hearing about different new apps and websites to help like build your podcast too. So, Owen, what do we have in front of you? I feel like maybe we do have the same microphone. I have no idea what's in front of me.
No, mine says only 2 of the front rings, so not 3. But I do not know what it's called. It was my mother's old microphone.
Oh, so it was passed down. How nice.
Yes.
Now, what other apps and applications? Marley, thanks for letting us know about Zencastr. Like, I'm definitely going to look that up. What other websites and services have you guys been using to help make your podcast where it is?
LinkedIn to find people to interview. Zoom to interview people. Yeah, that's about it.
And Marley?
Well, Zencastr is like the website we use to record, but a lot of it I would say is due to social media, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, all of that to give the promo and all the attention that the show has been receiving. So that's where I like to spread the word out. And I think that's a big piece of it too.
So like we are in the TikTok age. Are you guys on the app? I tried. I have like probably 7 to 10 videos that have nothing to do with podcasting. I may just start like exploiting my dog for views these days because whatever I was doing wasn't seem to be working. Have you guys started to incorporate that, or maybe you're leaning a little bit more towards Instagram Reels and TikTok? And how do you feel about that kind of bringing up your generation too?
Honestly, I have a personal TikTok account just because everybody kind of has one. And I've never thought of using it to promote the podcast. And I will say this like 100% honestly, because I'm kind of scared of the TikTok community. Like my generation on TikTok is just like totally brutal. Like they are so honest and ruthless. Like nobody cares about how mean they're being with the comments. So even though I just got over this whole like not caring about what other people think, like I could never post on TikTok because if it did go viral, I know there would be like tons of hate or like people saying mean things. So
I feel like I'm the opposite of you for that, because like my personal one, I would rather post more work stuff so haters can't hate versus me trying to do these ridiculous dance moves and challenges where I feel that the haters can actually hate. Oh, and are you using the apps like that?
No, I'd rather not have all my information sent to India.
Okay, well, fair enough. I just like watching music videos and, dogs dancing. That to me actually is hilarious. So each of you, now I know, Marley, you've been really building your podcast on different things that your generation is wanting to discuss and really breaking those barriers. Owen, in the film industry, how do you figure out what topics each podcast is going to be about?
Owen, do
Anybody,
you wanna
go.
first?
Okay, Owen, I'm making you go first.
So everyone I interview has a specific career in the film industry, so that pretty much decides what I'm going to talk about with them.
What have you learned from some of those specific people? Like I know you've had like different makeup artists and videographers, photographers, producers and editors. What have you learned from them?
Mostly kind of what the experience is like, how much experience you need to even get to that position in the first place or be successful in that position. Mostly just a lot of smaller technical stuff as well.
I went to college for television and digital media. I didn't go for like radio or podcasting. I guess digital media is kind of in that. But learning how to do everything from holding a camera to my biggest thing that still to this day gives me a little trouble is 3-point lighting. So I would love to hear if you have an episode with somebody who can teach you actually how to do solid 3-point lighting, because I have 2 in front of me. I do got some above me right now, but I can never make it work without the help of somebody else.
It looks good right now.
Thanks. I got a squad. His name is Ming. He's behind the camera. I'm just in the front.
Good
He's
job,
waving
Ming.
to all of you guys. Now, Marley, how do you figure out the topics? Because you have a new topic every 2 weeks. And is it you and the producer that work together? Or is it just what you feel like you want to actually talk about this week?
It's a good question. Well, when I was pitching the podcast initially, this was like only a few months ago, I came up with like a mass bullet point list of like potential topics, just to like convince them to let me do it. And so I honestly get a lot of ideas from there because I knew but also I think about like what's relevant. And so because we're from Minneapolis, as you know, there was like the horrific murder of George Floyd just a year ago, and a lot of other people that have been brutally murdered by Minneapolis police. And so I thought it would be fascinating to do an episode on social justice last month because the time was right and it was something I knew I could find friends that were passionate about the topic. So when that happened, and I'm going to do one coming up about Pride Month and exploring your sexuality and accepting yourself. And so I try to find what's timely, what's relevant, but also just bigger concepts like mental health or social media or applying to college we did a few months ago. Just things that I know like all teenagers can resonate with and stuff that parents want to hear. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from my friends' parents or family friends that we have that say like, can you ask about this or can you talk about this and bring up this topic? I noticed this in my kids and I would love to hear if you and your friends have noticed it too. And so I can kind of shape some of my questions around that. And it's so fun to say like a parent was wondering if, I feel like other people like really care about what we're talking about and I want it to be helpful for them too. So that's kind of helping me.
Got to make it a little anonymous. Don't be like, oh, it's like Alexa's mom that really wants to know this. So Alexa, if you're listening, your mom wants to know, insert how you feel about your daily life comments.
Literally.
Now, where's the future of both of your lives? Because right now, I think you guys both graduated. Marley, did you just graduate high school?
I graduate a week from tonight, so I'm almost there.
Oh, and how about you?
I'm testing out of high school. I'm almost certain I passed the test. It was pathetically easy.
So what's next for the both of you? Like as you finish up, high school and stuff like that and go on to the next chapter of your lives?
A bit of community college and then hopefully USC.
Nice.
Learn film.
That's and Marley?
Funny. Oh my gosh, USC was totally my dream school, but I got rejected this year.
So
it's so funny.
So
I hope you get in, Owen. Together. You got it, Owen. Yeah, you got
Thanks.
this. I am going to the University of Wisconsin-Madison next fall because they have a journalism school. So I'm pretty excited. It's pretty close to home, and I know a lot of great legacies from there or alumni that have really come out from the journalism school, and I'll be studying, journalism. But that hopefully will give me a look at the world of media and learn some interviewing skills just to help me. And I'm not sure if I will take Spill the Soup, my current podcast, with me, just because I don't know what my schedule will be like. but I've really thrown around the idea of having like a college podcast, like insight into the life of a college student. And then I just give advice that I wish I knew going into college to future college students or parents of college students. We'll see though. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I support that. So I had a silver blue microphone because that was my first microphone that I had. And it was my terrible Dell laptop, or then my Mac that like should not have been still a Mac at that time. And I was doing it in my dorm room a couple of times, and I'd tell people, no, like this hour, you can't knock on my door. I'm not ready to go out. No, I do not want snacks. You cannot come in. So I hope that you do find a quiet place if you do live on campus, and do bring the podcast with you and go a little bit more college oriented. Or you know what? Let them knock on the door. It may actually go for a great conversation.
It builds character, you know?
One second. Excuse me.
As someone else is actually knocking on the door wanting to join the conversation. How much of a perfect timing comment was that? So
Totally.
I do support the both of you, and I hope that you continuously do the podcast, even in the next chapters of your lives. So how can we listen? Marley, go first. How can we listen to you and your podcast and follow it?
Okay, I am available on all streaming platforms. You can look up my name, Marley Comito, or Spill the Soup. It's Spill the Soup.
Soup.
It's pretty, yeah, Spill the Soup. So you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that stuff. So feel free to go ahead and check it out wherever you can. Even like a little Google search will just take you to all of those platforms.
And Owen, how can we listen to your podcast?
Again, it's on all streaming sites. It's on YouTube. It's Kino Society. You can just search it up as well. KinoSociety.com.
And for the Brand Ambassador Select podcast, you can listen to it just like the rest of them on any podcasting platform, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also follow us on socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. Sometimes I post on Pinterest at Brand Ambassador Select, and on Twitter at B_A_select. More at brandambassadorselect.com. Marley, Owen, thank you for joining us on our first teen podcasters roundtable. Hopefully there's so much more to come, and I can't wait to stay updated with the both of your podcasts and see where the next chapter of the life takes you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
So have a great night. And if anybody that's watching, listening, wants to be a part of another teen podcasters roundtable, or wants to be a part of a roundtable, you know where to hit us up. You can go in the comments below, or comment your podcast that you love to listen to below too, because we always love some recommendations as well. And we will see you another time, and have a wonderful night. And both of you have a great Memorial Day weekend. It's going to rain here in Jersey, so I'm a little upset, but I hope it doesn't rain by you guys.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully you get through the rain. You have a great weekend too.
Bye, guys.
See ya.